अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय कृष्णाय क्लिष्टकारिणे नमो वेदान्तवेद्याय गुरवे बुद्धिसाक्षिणे कृष्णद्वैपायनं व्यासं सर्वलोकहिते रथं वेदाब्जभास्करं वन्दे समाधिनिलयं मुनिं सहस्रमूर्ते पुरुषोत्तमस्य सहस्रनेत्रानपादबाहोः सहस्राम्नां स्तवनं प्रशस्तं निरुच्यते जन्मजरादिशान्तये। So we'll just do the last one and we'll Vishnum Jishtum Mahavishtum Vishnum Jishtum Mahavishtum Prabhavishnum Maheshwaram Aneka Rupa Daityantam Namami Purushottamam Vishnum Jishtum Mahavishtum Prabhavishnum Maheshwaram Aneka Rupa Daityantam Namami Purushottamam. So this also is a salutation to the Bhagavan. So Vishnu and Jishnu, Maheshwaram. So Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva are not different from each other. So there's nothing like, only worshipping Shiva or only worshipping Vishnu or Brahma. All the three are the same. They are three names, but only one entity. Okay. And Anek Rupam. So Aneka Rupa, when you say here, Aneka Rupa means different forms. Aneka Rupam. And Daityantam. So ending of Daityas. Who are Daityas? Daitya, they are, see, this is what I was supposed to cover last time. I didn't cover it. It's a mystery. Nothing like this. So the sage Kashyapas, they are the descendants of, he had three wives. Olden days. He had three wives. One was Danuhu, Aditi and Ditihi. Danuhu, Aditi and Ditihi. So because he had three wives and three of them were different descendants of different things. So the people who were born out of Danu, they are called Danavas. So Danavarga. Then the people who are from Aditi, they are Adityas. And the children who were born out of Diti, third wife, they were called Daityas. So Danava, Aditya and Daityas. So out of these three, Danava and Daityas, they are Asuras. They belong to the Asura Kula. So even though sage Kashyapa was a Brahmana, but because of the marriage which happened of different descendants, the people who are born out of the lineage was different also. So the Adityas were Devatas or Suras. And one of the Daityas, out of one of the Daityas, Sukeshu was one of the Daityas, Sukeshu. So Sukeshu was one of the Daityas who married a Gandharva. See, Gandharva means like celestial marriage or a celestial being. And he gave birth to, there were 2 daughters born to him. One was called Devavritti. So Sukeshu got married a Gandharva girl, and due to the marriage they have got 2 daughters. One was called Devavritti and the other one was called Sumali. So Devavritti and Sumali were the 2 people born to one of the Daityas. So Daityas, as I told you, they are from the Asura Kula. Asura. Now Sumali gave birth to a princess called Tataka. So you know Tataka, right? In Ramayana you have seen the Tataka. Tatakai. So she gave birth to this woman called Rakshasi called Tataka, and who was a female Asuri. So from the lineage of Tataka, all Ravana was born, Kumbhakarna was born, Khara, Shurpanaka, Vibhishana, all were born out of Tataka. So if you trace back the lineage, Tataka was actually born out of Sumali. Sumali was born out of the marriage with the one of Sukeshu, and Sukeshu was one of the Daityas, which came from the Ditihi family. Or Daitya. So when Ravana was killed in the war, see, Ravana was an Asura. Everybody knows Ravana is an Asura. He's a Rakshasa. That's what people know him. But his lineage is a Brahmana. He's a Brahmana because he's, by virtue of his lineage of sage Kashyapa, he was taught, all of them were taught the same, the Brahmagyanam, Atmagyanam, or the dharmas, etc., were taught to all of them. So the rishis make sure that they were taught the same philosophy, same concept, everything to all the people. So even though they are Rakshasas, they knew dharma very well. They knew all of them related to rights and wrongs very well. But because they are in the Asuric Kulam, and they are, so when Ravana was killed in the war, yes.
Dhanu, Dhanu.
Dhanu is the first wife, Dhanu.
Dhanu, okay. Dhanu, Aditi, Viditi.
Ditihi.
Vidihi.
Diti, Dhanu and Daitya.
Viti, Dhanu and Daitya.
Aditi, Ditihi and Dhanu. Aditi, Diti and Dhanu. Okay? So that's why when Ravana was killed in the war, Rama actually performed Shraddham for him. Because even though he is a Rakshasa, but being a Brahmana, one has to do Shraddham. And he was treated like a Brahmana only by Lord Rama also. And Ravana itself is a great devotee of Shiva. Very, very, very great devotee of Shiva. But because Ahankara was there, it blinded him completely. And that is why he had to be Ahankara, whenever it is there, it has to be extinguished. So even we also have Ahankara. See, Ahankara means like the ego, that I am. It's an ego. So whenever you have the Ahankara for a good thing, it is okay. But you have the Ahankara for a bad thing, it is not okay. So it has to be managed, or it has to be, see, Ahankara cannot be removed. It cannot be dropped. You cannot say that, from tomorrow onwards, I will not have Ahankara. You cannot do anything like this. You have only to manage Ahankara. So understanding what Ahankara is and managing it is the best way to do it. Because it can create a lot of damage to you. It can create a lot of complications later on if you have the false identity or false impression about one's own self. And that is what happened to Lord Ravana also, because he had a false identity that he was the Lord of all the Devatas. He was the Trilok Vijay. Whereas he could not understand that Lord Rama was actually Vishnu's incarnation. And when the Bhagavan himself comes in front of him, what you can do? So whatever power you have, whatever ahankara has to be surrendered. So that's why in terms of knowledge, so whenever you study Shastra, it's supposed to remove the ahankara, because ahankara cannot stand in front of knowledge. So that's what that particular thing says. Aneka rupa daityantam. So daityantam means that word, particular thing talks about all the rupa, different forms. The Rakshasa, whether it is Devas, Asuras, all of them are Namami Purusha Uttamaha. Namami Purushottama. Okay. So that's what I wanted to say in that last class I didn't say. So just a bit of information for you, so that you know that Ravana also is a Brahmana, was also Brahmana. So now this is called the Nyasaha. So when you say Nyasam, it means cleansing. So Nyasam, when you say that one has to cleanse yourself, or you should be made eligible, you should be eligible to perform the puja before you do anything. And the first Nyasa, what you always do is, you always take bath in the morning. This is the first Nyasa, this is Bahya Nyasa. So you cleanse yourself with taking bath and wear, a different type of vastram, not the same thing what you wore yesterday when you went to bed. For any puja you do, or anything which you do, which is a regular thing you do, in the morning, you should always have a vastram which is earmarked for that. It need not be, washed every day, and it need not be. But as soon as you take bath, you use a vastram kept separately for that purpose. And then you use that vastram, and then you do all your pujas with that. After the puja is done, you go and put it in the same place where it belongs, so that you know where to find it. It doesn't get mixed with other stuff there. So, and then you can go and change into your normal clothes, what you normally wear, and then you can do your other activities. So this is called the Bahya Shaucham. So very important to have Bahya Shaucham. Shaucham means cleanliness. So you should be clean before you offer. Yes.
பட்டு வேஷ்டி ஆனா அது ரொம்ப சுத்தம் சொல்றா. Is it true?
அப்படிலாம் ஒண்ணுல.
இல்ல.
There's nothing like that. See, any it's a cloth. See, pattu also is coming from a particular name, so it doesn't matter. Whichever it is, you have to make sure that it's clean. See, vastram should be clean, should be earmarked only for the purpose. So it can be nool veshti, it can be cotton veshti or cotton sari or anything which you are wearing. It doesn't matter. You keep that specifically for the place. Okay. Then now this particular nyasa is actually for dhyanam purpose. Okay. So we look at this mantra. It's a bit longer one. We'll try to let's see. So the first one is Om Asya Sri Vishnor Divya Sahasra Nama Stotra Maha Mantrasya. So always start the word with Om. Om is supposed to be an auspicious one. So even though it is not said here as Om, you should add Om. Om Asya Sri Vishnor Divya Sahasra Nama Stotra Maha Mantrasya. So what it says is Asya, I mean this, Sri Vishnoho, so belonging to the Vishnoho. Divya, so Divya means very celestial, very auspicious. Divyam. And Sahasra, 1,000. Sahasra, 1,000. Nama. So there are 1,000 names of the Lord which is being said here. Sahasra Nama. Stotra. Stotra, it's a stotra. So it is a stuti. Stuti means praising the Lord. So there are 1,000 names which is uttered by in this Sahasranama. And the 1,000 names are used to praise this Vishnu, who is of the nature of Divya. Who is Divya. And how is this? Is Mahamantraha. So it is not an ordinary mantra, it is Mahamantrasya. So it's not something which can be taken easily and said, oh, it's just a mantra. No, it is a Mahamantra. Mahamantra means supposed to be the greatest of the mantras. So Asya Shri. So the word Shri denotes auspiciousness, or Shri denotes wealth, or Shri denotes the power. So that's why Shri, when you say here, Shri means wealth. And Shri is part of Vishnu because Vishnu is the masculine and Shri is the feminine part of it. So that's why you'll always see the Vishnu always, because the consort will be there. Mahalakshmi will be there next to it. Similarly, for Lord Shiva also, there will be his consort Parvati will be there. So you can never worship Shiva alone. You can never worship Vishnu alone. Because Vishnu cannot operate without the power. You also know at home also. Correct? So there's no need to say anything. You are so you are powerless without your other part. Correct? So very important to respect the other part. See, the Shakti le Shiva millai. Shakti is very important. So from Shakti only everything comes into existence, and everything goes also into Shakti only. Right? Through Shakti only everything resolves. See, when the Mahapralaya happens, the whole Shakti power is used for resolving everything back into the same universe. So into the same Brahman. So power is important, and without the power, there is nothing called powerful. Word doesn't exist. So powerful, when you say, that's a different thing. See, powerful, when you say, the word powerful includes the word power. So if you take the word power from powerful, you don't have any word called full. So if you talk to somebody, I have, full. But you say, I am full, it's a different thing. But you say, I am powerful, it indicates the power of the person. So it's very important that power is there. So Shri denotes that Shakti. So Asya Shri, Vishnor Divya Sahasra Nama Stotra Mahamantrasya. And this is what is Sri Veda Vyasaha Bhagavan Rishi. So Veda Vyaso Bhagavan Rishi means this is the Veda Vyasa was the Rishi, who was the Bhagavan Rishi. Then Anushtup Chandaha. So Anushtup Chandas is a meter. And Anushtup is a meter. Anushtup Chanda means there's a meter. So we have Gayatri, Ushnik, Anushtup, Trishtup, Jagati, Chandamti, right? All those meters, the 7 meters are there. So in this one also is Anushtup Chanda. I mean, there are two lines. Anushtup Chanda. And this is Sri Mahavishnu. So this is Vishnu, is Mahavishnu, who is of the nature of Paramatma. So Mahavishnu is other than Paramatma. So when you say Paramatma means Parama-Atma. Atma itself means consciousness. Atma is something which is different from what is seen by you. Atma is different from the intellect. Atma is different from body. Atma is different from the senses, from the sensory organs, perception. All of them are different. Atma is something which cannot be changed and which is always present in every living and non-living being also as one. It is to be understood, it is a different topic, but here we just take it as Mahavishnu Paramatma. And how is he? Sriman Narayana, Sriman Narayano. So Sriman Narayano Devata. So he is a Devata. So he is the Devata and Sriman Narayano Devata. So the word Narayana itself means two meanings are there. Narasya iti ayanam Narayana. Narasya iti ayanam Narayana. So Narasya means what? The human being, of the human for the human beings. Ayanam means destination. Ayanam means destination. So for the human beings, there is no other destination other than understanding what Bhagavan Vishnu is or Bhagavan Narayana is. That is why when you say Narayana, when you say, it means it is some, all our Indian names are got beautiful names. Like you see everybody's names here. They all have Indian names and they have a deep meaning in Vedantic vision. So Narayana, when you say, it means that you are indirectly asking for moksha. So it's better to say Narayana all the time than not saying something else. Like I keep telling my son also, they are all born here and they are local people here. So they go to English school, they go to Christian school, and they will, oh Lord, oh Jesus Christ. I told them, see, Jesus won't come to you. Because you at least say Narayana or Rama, at least it will be beneficial. So why do you say Jesus? It is by practice. Because when you are used to this kind of, when you live in a community and you practice with other people, whatever the children hear, that is how they will. So at home also, if you keep chanting Narayana, Rama, Krishna, etc., one day they will pick up their skill. Samskara Munda, one day they will pick up. Because that's how they hear. So at home, that's why you should have Sangeet, Nama Sankirtanam, Parayanam, Vedic chanting, etc. required. Because even though you think that you are listening, they are listening. Because ears are open. Yes, something is going on. And repeatedly listening, etc. Something will register them. And one day they will utter this name. So even if you utter once, that means remembering the meaning of the Bhagavan, understanding what Narayana is, itself is supposed to be auspicious things. That is why Sriman Narayano Devata. Sriman. So it's not ordinary. Sriman Narayano Devata. And this Narayana also has got another connotation. See, Na, Ra, Aya, Na. 4. Na, Ra, Aya, Na. So 4. First letter is Na, Ede. Then Ra, R-A. Then Aya, A-Y-A, Aya. And then Na. So the word is Narayana. And the 4 letters, 4 parts constitute the Parama Purusharthas, 4 Purusharthas. Artha, Kama, Dharma and Moksha. Artha, Kama, Dharma and Moksha. They are called Purushartha or Purusha Artha. That means the purpose of existence of your life itself is understanding what these 4 Purusharthas are there. You have to understand what is Artha. What is Artha means what is security or wealth. And what is Kama, what is desire. How desire can affect you and how long you can pursue desire has been understood. And why do you have a desire also has been understood. How long you will have desire also has to be known. Then dharma. So dharma means all the good things you do. You donate food, you do all your activities, you feed the dog, you feed the cat, they're all important. So anything which you do which is not for your own stomach or for your own protection, everything else, other things you do, dharma, helping other people, listening to other people, all of them are dharma. Donating food, having compassionate view also is important. If you're compassionate, if you just listen to somebody's problems and you do not criticize them or do not say even bad things about them, it also is a dharma. So dharma we talked about elaborately so many topics. So there is dharma. And then moksha. So moksha means understanding who you are, understanding what is the purpose of existence in life. Why have you taken birth? And what I should achieve in this life. So these four are given by Narayana. That is why the word Narayana itself means four Chaturvida Purushartha. So Chaturvida Purushartha, four. Narayana. So Sri Mahavishnuhu Paramatma Sriman Narayano Devata.
Shankarji, one question. Ayanam destination. Narasya iti. Narasya.
Narasya iti Ayanam. Narayana.
Ayanam and the destination. Narasya iti Ayanam destination. Full.
Ayanam is destination and Narasya means of the human beings.
Human being. Iti?
Narayana.
Okay.
Okay. Then Amritam Shuddhavo Bhanurti Bijam. So Amritam Shuddhavaha Bhanuhu. Right. So Amritam Udbhavaha. So if you remember, the Amritam was coming out of when Vishnu was there. Udbhavaha. So Udbhava means creation or coming out. So when the Samudra Manthanam was being done, at that time Vishnu was the one who was telling the Devatas and Asuras what they should do. Correct. And he was a person who was responsible for the success of the Devatas also, for ultimately getting Amritam also. So Amritam and Shuddhavaha. So the Amritam Shuddha. It's not Shuddhavaha. Bhanuhu iti Bijam. So he's a seed. Bijam means the seed also, from whom everything comes into existence. So Amrita is equal to nectar. And Udbhavaha, when you say, is arising or that which is of the highest order, Udbhavaha. Highest order or rising is called Udbhavaha. And Bhanuhu means sun. The ever-shining sun. So Vishnu is compared here as what? The person who is responsible for the Amritaha. Or the one who has got the nectar. And he is in the bij form, seed form, bijaha. So if you look at your tree or if you go to any garden, right, and if you buy a small, some seed, the seed actually the whole tree is there, correct? It's in the tree. But you only see the photograph and you buy the seed. You do not bring the whole tree back inside the house, correct? So you see the photograph and you ask the question, is it a banyan tree, mango tree? The person says yes. Then you look at the seed, oh, it is a mango tree. It's a small seed. So the seed itself contains the potency to create a whole tree. but the tree itself is not visible, correct? But you know the tree is there. How do you know? Because you buy it with the intention of having a tree, and you plant the seed in the ground in your garden and you water it every day. So what does it mean? When you water it every day means you have to pray to the Bhagavan every day. So from the Bhagavan's seed form, all of us are come into existence. And it is our duty to pay our homage, respects to the Bhagavan every day, because we have come out of the seed now in a tree form. Just because you become a tree doesn't mean that you don't water it. You still have to water the tree, correct? You still have to offer. So that is the meaning of the symbolic meaning. That the Bhagavan is in the seed form, unmanifest form, and he can manifest whenever he wants to. It is not that because you want to manifest, he will come. See, there was a question somebody asked, why all these corona things are coming up? Why does the Bhagavan come and kill everybody and remove the virus? Then we cannot go on a holiday. The Bhagavan does not come just because somebody wants to come. He will come only when the time is right. So yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyudhana madharmasya. Right? So whenever this dharma is really very bad, like nobody is following dharma. Supposing nobody studies anything, everybody is enjoying, and nobody is studying Shastram, nobody is studying Vishnu Sahasranama, nobody does a good thing at all. Then adharma will be floating. You cannot live in this country. You cannot live. Because there are some punya people are there, some rains are coming, sun is shining, everything there. Imagine that everybody is damaging trees, everybody is Mahapralaya happens. Then you think we'll be happy, we will not be happy. At that time, things will change. So this also is another example. The corona also is a warning to you or to all of us, saying that look, this is how life was there before. You are all confined to one house, and by force you're supposed to study Shastram, work from home, because you have to do something. You cannot go out on holiday now. Social parties you cannot go now. Birthday parties you can't go. People can't come in. You can't go out. So what do? How long will you study? How long will you watch TV? So he says this is a opportunity for people to spend time on this. So use the time now, this time you got, to develop their habit. That's how I would recommend. See, for people who are already doing it, doesn't matter. Corona or no corona, it doesn't matter. But for people who have not done anything so far, use the Corona Bhagavan or the avatar which is there, it's indirect form. See that form, see the signal, and then perform. Correct? That's what it means here. Bijaha. Correct? And Devaki Nandanaha. See, Devaki Nandanaha. So he is the child of Devaki. Devaki Nandanaha. Son of Devaki. Then Srishteti Shaktihi. Srishti iti Shaktihi. So Srishteti Shakti, you write as Srishti iti Shakti. Srishti means creation. And Shakti means the power to create this universe. And what power is talking about? There are three types of power it talks about here. It's called Icha Shakti. First is called Icha Shakti. That means a Shakti to desire or to create its own desire. So he does not have to wait for any of us to create this universe. When the time is right, the universe will be created. Icha Shakti. Then Jnana Shakti.
Devaki Nandana Krishna Liya, Bhagavan Krishna Liya.
Devaki Nandana. Nandana means child. Child of Devaki is Devaki Nandana. Okay. Devaki Nandana. Krishna then talks about Vishnu only. Same thing. See, Krishna and Vishnu, there is no difference. Avatara is same. See, Vishnu is born in different yuga, right? And then Krishna is different yuga. So the same things. So whether I say Krishna, Vishnu, Radhe, Murari, Govinda, all of them are only one. They're all different names. but the Nami is only one. Nama is many. Okay. The Nami is only one. Example, you are called Krishna ji, in your house will you call Papa ji, or somebody will be called, but ultimately you are only one person. Correct? Same example. Okay. Then, Srishti iti Shakti. So, Srishti means the creation, and Shakti means three types of Shakti is there, three types of powers. What are those? Icha Shakti. Icha means desire. Desire to have, or the power to create the universe at will. Whenever the Bhagavan wants, he can create the universe. He doesn't have to wait for somebody to tell him that no, it's time to create this. He will do. So whenever the adharma is floating, he will, the nature, the law of order itself will set. See, you do not need to do anything. If you rub the nature, if you do wrong thing with nature, nature will rub you back. An example we are seeing now. See, all the atrocities which people committed towards animals. See, this corona is also from animal, some animal only. Somebody had a brilliant idea to experiment something. And in our olden days, people don't tamper with anything. See, whether it be bat or whether it is, pig or whatever it is, let them be, they enjoy. But what do? You try to go and, fiddle with that person. You try to, create something different. And it will have complications. And it is now affecting everybody, correct? So, this is what it means by the Shakti, means whenever there is some wrong thing being done, you will be punished indirectly. So now people, what they are saying, oh, Chinese people are doing this, people are doing this. It's not Chinese and everybody. It is generally people have done something wrong, everybody will suffer. Like in school also, in office also, if you are given a Saturday off, say Saturday you are working, and if you are said that you work on Saturday, you'll get a compensatory off on some other day. So what people do, they come on 10 o'clock, they go at 11 o'clock. Because the boss is not watching who's coming and what coming. So they come at 10, they go at 11 o'clock and they claim for one day. Somebody notices it, saying that, oh, you are all coming for 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. So from next week onwards, no compensatory off. Everybody will work Saturday full day. So now what happened? You had the luxury, you enjoyed it, you flouted it, and you misused it. Now everybody is paying for it. Same way also. That's why it's here Icha Shakti. So the Icha Shakti means the power to create or to do things at his own will. Then Jnana Shakti. So Jnana means the knowledge to create the universe. See, the Bhagavan does not go and ask Brahmaji or somebody else to say, I want to create this universe. How do I do it? We can go and ask. If you want to do something, you can go and say, how do I do it? Because you don't know. Alpagya. See, Sarvagya and Alpagya. Alpagya means limited knowledge. Alpam means limited. Alpagyanam, they are all Alpagyana people. And Sarvagyana means Bhagavan. Because he knows everything. All of the Alpagyanam is owned by him only. Correct. So whatever Alpagyanam everybody has got, he is the Sarvagya. He knows that you are all Alpagyanam only. I know about it. So nothing to worry. So you continue what you are doing. So Jnana Shakti. Right. Then Kriya Shakti. So how to create also is important. See, number one is we should have the Icha is important. Second thing is knowledge is important. Having knowledge, then how do you create? You should be able to create. Having knowledge is what's the point? I have got knowledge of so many things. But can you do something? No, I don't do anything. I don't know how to do it. Or you don't want to do it. But the Bhagavan doesn't come and tell anybody. See, the example given in the Upanishad is of the spider. Yatha urnanabihi srijate grihnate cha. It's an Upanishad statement. So Urnanabi is the name of the spider. Spider is called in Shastras called Urnanabi. So Urnam means the thread. And Nabi means the abdomen. So the person or the animal or the insect which has got the urnam or the thread inside its own nabi. When you look at the spider outside, do you see that it has got yarn inside? You do not know. You only see its 8 legs there. and some crawling going like this. But come at night time, you will see the spider very busy. If you have watched spider do it's an example of same Bhagavan. It knows when to create a web. It does not create web all the time. It knows where to place a web also. It will not create a web where there's a lot of traffic going on. Like you keep going trespassing every day, it will not create a web there. It will create a web high somewhere else where you don't obstruct. So it has got a capacity within its nabi or the spider inside the stomach of the spider to create that urnam. Right? So what does it do? It just starts to create. So it spits out the urnam from it and it starts going up like this, down like this, up like this, down like this. So it keeps very busy. Now, the knowledge, the spider is inbuilt in the spider itself, correct? The spider does not come and ask you or another spider, say, I want to build this web. How do I build it? It doesn't ask anything. It knows. So the spider knows its technology, how to create it, where to create it, when to create it, also how to create it. And after creating all of them, it will sit in the middle of the web. It will not go and stand in some corner and wait for it. It will always sit in the middle of the web because the Bhagavan is in the middle of all the epicenter of the universe. After creating all the prapanchas, all the bhutas, 840,000 species are there in total. So after creating everything, he is in the middle of the species watching everything. So if somebody comes and touches this web, it will go and check what's happening there. It knows what to check and how to check. If you throw a stone, it won't come nearby. But if you put a small leaf, something very, very, very tiny one, it will go and check and it will come back and sit. See, the knowledge to create the web, the knowledge to spin the web, everything is within the spider. At the same time, when the spider thinks that that place is not good enough, I want to go to some other place, it withdraws everything back into its own nabi. One fine day you will see there's no spider web at all. You will see, yesterday it was here, 2 days ago it was here. Then it has gone. So it has taken the web back inside its own home. It has gone back to another place to spin another web somewhere else. So in the same way here also, Ichcha Shakti means the desire to create its own will. Jnana Shakti means the knowledge to create its own, all those things. And Kriya Shakti means how to create also is inbuilt. So this three is called Srishteti Shakti. So Srishteti Shakti. See, when you're chanting, very easy. Within 1 nanosecond, Srishteti is finished over. But to explain this, I have to give you 20 minutes of Vyakyanam. For one word, I have to give you so much of Vyakyanam to understand what Srishti means and Shakti means. Right? So Srishteti Shakti. Right? Then Udbhavaha.
Shankarji, Kriya Shakti wanna put into action ilya?
Amma.
Yeah?
Kriya Shakti is to create, put into action.
Thank you.
Then Udbhavaha Shobano Deva iti Paramo Mantraha. So Udbhavaha is highest order. Udbhavaha. And Shobano Deva. See, Shobano means suitable. Shobitam. Shobano Deva means that which is apt or suitable for this Deva is this iti Paramo Mantraha. So this Mantraha is suitable for Vishnu, who is of the highest order. And it is Shobhanam, or it is apt for this Bhagavan. So Udbhavaha Shobhano Deva iti Paramo Mantraha. Then Shanka Brindaki Chakriti Keelakam. The Shanka Brinda Ki Chakriti Keelakam. See, Chakra means discus, or the Vishnu has got a chakram, chakraha. And Shankaha is got a conch. It's called Panchajanya. See, the conch, where you blow, right? Shankaha. And Brinna means sound. So Shanka Brinna means sound coming from the conch of the Mahavishnu. Shanka Brinna. And the chakra which is there is supposed to be referred to as thoughts of the Bhagavan. The chakram is supposed to be thoughts, because the discus, when it is thrown, it actually hurts people only with the thought, because the discus itself has got its own mind. And the mind Shakti is given by the Bhagavan to the discus. See, it will only kill people, it will only hurt people who have got bad intention. The chakram itself is not threatening to anybody, even though it is like this. But the chakram will, even if you throw it at somebody, it will only protect the person. It will create a ring of protection against a person who is having good thoughts. So, chakra means also mean thoughts. And chakram also means a discus which is having non-stop thoughts. So, continuous thoughts. So, when you see the chakram, it actually doesn't stop. It spins all the time. It is spinning all the time. So, non-stop thoughts is called chakra. So, Shanka, Brinna, Nandaki, Chakriti, Keelakam. So, Nandanam, Nandaki means, Nanda means joy. And Nandaki means belonging to person of joyous nature, Nandaki. So this Vishnu is of the, that's why Nanda. So we say Nanda. So Nanda means happiness. So Nandaki. And Chakri iti Keelakam. So Keelakam, which means it talks about the pillar to which cows are tied. The pillar to which cows are tied. So it's all imaginations. You have to think about Vishnu like this. Having chakra, having the conch, the sound of the conch which is coming from the Mahavishnu is of the nature of thoughts. And the thoughts are continuous thoughts. It doesn't stop. Like the chakram which is personified as the thoughts. And Keelakam talks about the cows which are tied to the pillars. Because Krishna is talked about here as cow also. Devaki Nandana. So, the next. Sanga Dhanva Gadadhara iti Astram. So, Sharanga Dhanva means, Dhanuhu means the bow. And Sharanga means the name of the bow of Mahavishnu is called Sharangaha. So, Sharanga Dhanva. So, Sharanga Pani, when you say, see the name Sharanga Pani, I think you should know, right? You have heard about Sharanga Pani. So, Sharanga Pani means what? The person who has got the bow as Sharangaha in his hand is called Sharanga Pani. Dandayuda Pani, when you say, is Lord Muruga. Correct? Dandam. Dandayuda Pani. So, Sharanga Dhanva. Kodanda Rama. So, Kodanda Rama also is called Rama. Rama is called Kodanda. So, all of them have got it. So, Sharanga Dhanva. Gadadharaha. So, Gada. So, you will see, now you can see the Vishnu, Mahavishnu. Chakram, Sharanga Dhanva, Gadadhara iti Astram. So Astram, what is Astram he's got? He's got the bow, right? And he's got the discus which is there, and also the Gada. Gadadhara iti Astram. So when you chant the mantra, this is what will come to you. Not when you really chant the mantra, you should concentrate in your, when you're chanting, this Mahavishnu's image should be in your mind as in this form. This is the first step. First step is to bring the image of Mahavishnu, even though you don't know how the photo, doesn't matter. Now, when I tell the mantra, you will know, oh, Shanga Dhanva, so is bow, Gadadharaha, iti Astram, right? And Chakraha, right? All these things. Then, Ratanga Pani Shobhyaha iti Netram. So, Ratangaha means Rataha Angaha. Ratam means the chariots. And all the accessories called Angaha. See, Ratanga means Rata plus Angaha. So, Ratam means chariot. And Angaha means the limbs of the chariot. What are the limbs of the chariot? The horses which are there. The reining, the ropes which actually hold the horses together is called the reining, correct? The horses. Then the wheels of the chariot. So all of them called Ratanga. And Ratanga Panihi, so means the one who is handing in his hands the reins. He is like a Kudurai. See, there are 5 horses, 5 senses. And the mind is supposed to be the one who is supposed to be controlling the 5 senses. So the mind is like the rope which is holding on to the senses, correct? It pulls. You go this way, it will go this way. If all of them, see, our power of seeing, if all the senses are correct, then the object will be clear. If all of them are going different direction, correct, then nothing will work. So for anything to work, your mind has to be first controlled, and the mind has to give instructions to the senses to perform the activities in conformity with dharma and the right direction. So holding on to the reins so that you ride the horse. See, if the horses are 5 and if you let go of the rein, what does the horse do? Horse will bolt. Chariot will go elsewhere. So you are the chariot. The physical body is the chariot. And you are the person sitting on the chariot. Right? So if you do not have control over the mind, the horses will just go, because all your sensory organs will just go, let me do this, let me do this, let me do this. Mind will say, you do, enjoy. Whatever you want to do, do. Because he doesn't bother. So the person doesn't know where the direction is. The horse goes this way, then it goes that way, and finally get lost in the direction. He doesn't know where it is. So in the Kathopanishad, example is given here. The horse talks about here. Same thing talks here. Ratanga Panihi Shobhyaha iti Netram. So this Netram is supposed to be the eyes. Eyes. Netram is supposed to be these eyes, supposed to be eyes. Then Trisama Samagaha Sameti Kavacham. So Trisamaha. Trisama Samaga Sameti Kavacham. So here, Trisamaha means there are 3 types of singing he talks about. See, Trisama, Samaga, Sameti, Kavacham. Kavacham means armor. So the armor which is there is of the nature of 3 types. And Samaga, Sameti, Kavacham. So Trisamaha, when you say here, Trisama means chanting by the Devas. So Trisama is a chanting by the Devas. And Samaganam. See, Trisama, Samaganam. Samaganam is the songs which are praised in favor of the Lord of Devatas. So the Lord. So Trisama Samagana. So Sama iti kavacham. See, Sama means what? Sama means the song. That's why yesterday we had Sama Veda. See, Sama Veda is also one of the way of singing. So Sama Veda also is a method of singing. So Bhagavan's praise is sung in this manner. So Trisama Samaga Sameti Kavacham. So Kavacham means this, the armor of the Bhagavan is this. By chanting by praising the Lord. By praising the Lord, the Kavacham, the protection is given. Kavacham means an armor. So you protect yourself by singing the praise of the Lord, by to Devatas, that's what it is. Tisama Samaga Kameti Kavacham. Then Anandam Parabrahmeti Yoni. So Anandam means that which is of the nature of happiness. Ananda. Limitless is happiness. See, Anandam means not temporary Anandam. He's talking about limitless Anandam. Okay. And Parabrahma. So he is a Parabrahma. Anandam Parabrahmeti Yoni. So he is the essence, or is the from whom everything comes into existence. Yoni means the source. So from whom everything comes into existence, and is of the nature of Parabrahma, and Parabrahman is of the nature of Ananda. Correct. Naraha is always not Ananda. Naraha is always actually complaining, always dissatisfied. There's always some Korai will be there. Something will be there. Whereas Bhagavan, there is no Korai because he doesn't have anything to complain. That is why you all go to the Bhagavan and tell whatever you want. He doesn't come back and complain to you. You go and complain to somebody, what they will say. Why are you complaining to me? I have got my own problems. Because he cannot solve the problem. Because the other person whom you're complaining also is a person limited like you. He also is limited like you. He's also got his own problem. How can a person who is limited can solve a problem which is limited by you? He cannot. Only unlimited person can solve a problem. That is why it's called Ananda. Ananda means unlimited Ananda. A person can give you unlimited Anandam, only you should go to the person. So you can go to the Guru, you can go to the Bhagavan, the Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara. That's why only the Guru can give you Anandam, or the Bhagavan can give you Anandam. There's no other person who can give you Anandam. Everybody else are only giving you temporary Anandam, and the Anandam will disappear after some time. Right? So Anandam Parabrahmeti Yoni. Then Rutuhu Sudarshanaha Kalaha iti Digbandaha. So Rutuhu means seasons. Okay. So there are Vasanta Ritu, Grishma Ritu, there are seasons. And Kalaha, Trikalaha. So there are three Kalas. Morning, afternoon, and then you got night time. So three Kalaha. And Sudarshanaha. So Sudarshanam is supposed to be the name of the Sudarshan Chakra. It's named Sudarshana. Then Digbandha. So Digbandha means what? You protect myself from all the directions. How? Protecting from Kala. From three different times. All the seasons. And this chakra, Sudarshan Chakra, is supposed to be the one which is protecting or protect us from all these changes. So protection from season, protection from changes in time, all comes under this chakra, Sudarshan Chakra. So Rutuhu Sudarshanaha Kalaha iti Digbandaha. So Rutu Sudarshana Kala iti Digbandaha. Then Sri Vishwarupa iti Dhyanam. So we'll complete this shortly. So Sri Vishwarupa iti Dhyanam. So in this way, I have to do Dhyanam of Vishwarupa. So I have to Dhyanam, invoke the Bhagavan in this manner. Then Sri Mahavishnu Prityarte Sahasranama Jape Viniyoga. So in this way I am going to start now the Japaha. Sahasranama Japaha Viniyoga. So Sri Mahavishnu Prityarte Sahasranama Jape Viniyoga. Is it clear? Any questions from anyone? This particular thing can be done, I think, by Krishnaji in maybe half a minute. This Nyasa you can do it in half a minute. But it took me 1 hour to just do only this class. So still I have not completed actually. So much thing I can say here. But what it talks about is that the Nyasa, this is how one has to interpret the Bhagavan. This is how one has to visualize the Bhagavan. So when you sit in front of the Bhagavan, close your eyes, and if you know the Sahasrana mantra, this has to come in front of you and you should visualize yourself as the Mahavishnu. And you should, that's how it is supposed to be. That is why it takes time to chant. Chanting mechanically is a karma. Chanting with meaning becomes a contemplation. It becomes a upasana. So
last one, say Mahavishnu Prityarte Sahasranama Jabe Viniyoga. What meaning another?
See Mahavishnu Prityarte. So Prityartaha means for getting the Priti of the Bhagavan, for getting the benefit or the blessing of the Bhagavan, Sahasranama Jape Viniyoga. So I am going to deploy, or Viniyoga means what I am going to now employ, the use of Sahasranama Japa. So Viniyoga. So this is the Nyasam. So at the completion of say Om Tatsat Brahmarpanamastu or Kayena Vacha Manasindriyaiva Buddhyatmanava Pratisbhava Karomi Yagya Sakalam Brasmai Narayana Samarpayam. We do that, right? Same here also we conclude this Japa, this particular Nyasa. There's one more there after this. But it says that now I'm going to do Dhyanam of Mahavishnu in this manner. And now I'm going to chant the Sahasranama Stotram and for getting the Preeti of the Mahavishnu. So see Mahavishnu Preetyarte. Preetyarte means Preetyartaha. Preetyarte Sahasranama Jape. So I'm going to japa. So japa means not like chanting loudly, etc. Competition is not there. How fast you can chant is not there. See, if you go to somebody's house, it's a competition. One person will chant fast, another person will try to pick up. And there's always constant pick up and chanting. He just cannot catch up with the person. One guy is running at 120 kilometers per hour, chanting. Another guy, by the time he's struggling. So the food is because food is ready. The whole objective is 12:30 the food has to be ready. So if they want to go out, half an hour time is there. 11:30 they will start. 12 o'clock they'll finish. 12:30 food will be ready. 1 o'clock they'll be out. 1:30 they'll out. We take away dabba, everything gone. I'm not criticizing Krishnaji. I have seen it personally. I have seen every class I go, wherever I go, this is what happens. They are not interested actually in anything at all. They will say how fast you can complete. Not waiting. Because see, Devatin Kural, see, I got big people who are there. They study all, Anusham Nakshatra, everything, they do puja, etc. But when you tell them to study on a Devatin Kural or Pakam Padimana, fine. Because Devatin Kural is a big subject, big topic. For studying that, you need to sit 1 hour. 1 hour la mudiya sir, asikonakulla. So the Devatin Kural go out of the window or text, only do what is required, get to the food, finish and go. This is not called approach. One has to change. See, food is not the driving factor for you to attend a party. Food should not be secondary. But the main thing is to me is that you should really enjoy what you're doing. Very important. So that concept has to change. That is why this Nyasa is introduced there. To cleanse your mind of all the bad thoughts. That food is going to be there, definitely. He's not going to come and give food. Only you're going to eat it. But so there's always a worry that somebody else come and eat the food because there's a guy sitting out there. He wants to go first. So our poitar nanu pola. He's already gone out there. Let me also go.
நாங்க குழந்தையில எல்லாம் இந்த ஃபுட்டு இதே கிடையாது. பிரசாதம் கொஞ்சம் சுண்டல் கொஞ்சம் ஏதாவது இருக்கு, அது ஒரே ஒரு ஸ்பூன் தான் கொடுப்பாங்க. இப்பதான் இதெல்லாம் ஆரம்பிச்சு.
So any other questions from anybody before we conclude the class? Shishadri, you are okay? Bhavani ji, any questions? You are okay?
Just one more question.
Okay.
Yes. In the morning,
yes.
So daily ritual is, to vasu talichtu, adukaprom we light the lamp. And then I go for bath. But then the Vishnu Sahasranamam, probably I will put it in the morning and in the evening I recite along with it. So the best practice is to have a bath and then start all the rituals.
See, the best part is to always take bath in the morning, light the lamp, and then after lighting the lamp, you should do your parayanam, whatever you're chanting. If you're chanting this Sahasranama, you can chant that. Then you can offer any naivedya. It can be a fruit, it can be, if you're making something like a rice you have made already, or you can do that. Or if you don't have time to do rice, etc., or anything, you can just offer a fruit or even flower. Because see, the Bhagavan race, see, the question is only attitude. That's very important. So having the purpose of taking bath is to cleanse ourselves. Bahi Saucham is important. Then the chanting of the mantra, etc., is Antara Saucham. That is to cleanse yourself internally. So when you're ready to do your normal activities, you are cleansed internally and outside, both. That way, after that, you already surrendered everything. You already said that everything I'm going to do is now offered to you, Bhagavan. I do not have anything to offer to you anymore. So you have pushed everything to him, to Bhagavan. Then you continue your duties, keeping in mind what you're doing. Then that becomes your sadhana. It becomes an upasanam for you. That is how it is be there. So whether morning you do, evening also, 6:30 or 7 o'clock before this become dark, we light a lamp. And
Yes.
it is a practice, customary practice. Everybody does it. And I think everybody does it. You don't have to. So we always do in the evening, 6:30 before it become dark, we light a lamp, and if you have a chanting to do in the evening, do something. Sit there and do some Devi Stotram or something you do. If you don't have time, you just Manasikama, you pray and then offer some other fruit or something, them there, you can offer them and then finish. So it is only a symbolic. See, that is all to create that bhakti, create that offering of remembering the Bhagavan, at least, in whatever you do. That is important. So that's very important.
Thank you, Shakarji.
Any other questions from anyone?
Sir, I actually had a question. Actually, not me. My mother had a question. The recorded class which I saw, you repeat Shanti thrice. Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi.
Correct.
Does it have a specific meaning, or why you're doing that?
Yes. See, the Shanti, Shanti, Shanti has got three meanings, because the first Shanti is what? Adi Daivika. See, Adi Daivika means we are under the influence of so many disturbances. See, Daivikam means that which is act of God. Example, lightning, flood, famine. All of them are actually, which is something which you cannot control. We do not have any control. Correct? So it can happen anything. Anything can happen. The whole, thunder will be there. The house will be on fire. So many things will be there, which is not under the control of ourselves. So we offer the first Shanti, saying that you protect me from all these natural phenomena. So Adi Daivikam. Then the second Shanti mantra, second Shanti is Adi Bhautikam. So Bhautikam means surrounding you there are disturbances. There are people, when you are doing something, there will be some disturbance. Somebody will ring a bell. Somebody will come and do some disturbance. So all these disturbances are there. NBN will not work, network will not be a problem, telephone will not work, light will not work. So many things are there. So all these are Adi Bhautika, means the disturbances which are created by your surroundings. So you live in an environment, and environment is also a problem. Correct? It can sometimes not be conducive to do this. So it is also Adi Bhautikam. So you say the second Shanti for protecting me from this Adi Bhautikam. Then the third Shanti is for Adhyatmikam. So Adhyatmikam means your own problems. Not the Bhagavan. Bhagavan itself is the problem, different thing. But one's own problems are there. Mood is not there, interest is not there, time is not there. So many things are there. Ingredients not there, people are not there. So many things are there, which is actually your own creation. So to protect you from those disturbances, you offer the third Shanti. So Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You say the three Shanti mantras for the complete protection. It's a protection mantra saying that you protect me from all the vagaries of the Lord or the Daivikam, which is there. You also protect me from all the surroundings which are there. People who are around me. People will be there, relatives, friends, networks, so many things will be there, which will be disturbance for you, for your upasana, for you to practice. Third thing is my own prarabdha. My own problems are there. I am not able to focus. My mind is not ready. I am getting disturbed. I am getting agitated. When you're sitting there for some time, then you got to go and get up, go to toilet. Or when you want to go do something else. See, people come and ask. When they come and chanting, they say, can I go, sir? They just come 1 minute, 5 minutes, they can't sit. Sometimes, you want to stretch your leg. Sometimes you say, no, I can't, back is hurting. So all these are all adhyatmika. Because you are not able to focus. So you are asking for protection from all these things so that your prayer continues. So that you are systematically able to do this. So this Shanti is for three things. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so any other questions? If there's no other questions, if at all there's next week you can ask. There's nothing like that. Today you may not have any question. Next week you can still ask. Om Purnamadah Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Namaste. Shubhra. So for those people coming to the Gita class, we will meet you at 7:45, maybe another couple of hours time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.